I still remember the smell of that kitchen on Sunday mornings. Bacon, coffee, that particular kind of quiet that only exists when your house is full of people you love and nobody has anywhere to be yet. My girls would come patting down in their socks, mismatched, always mismatched, and I'd hand them plates before they even asked. That was my favorite version of my life. That kitchen, those socks, that quiet. I didn't see the divorce coming the way you'd think. It wasn't one big explosion. It was more like a slow leak, the kind you don't notice until one day you're standing in water up to your ankles and you think, how long has this been happening? We grew in different directions. Two people who'd built something real but had somehow become strangers inside it. And when it finally ended, I told myself, whatever else happens, my girls and I are going to be okay. They were 17 and 21, old enough to understand, old enough to know their mother. I was wrong about that, not about them, about what was coming. It started with shorter calls, then missed calls, then texts that took 2 days to come back, if they came back at all. I told myself they were busy, processing. That divorce is hard on kids, no matter how old they are. I gave them space, because I thought that's what love looked like. I thought if I just stayed steady, stayed open, they'd come back around when they were ready. What I didn't know, what I couldn't see from where I was standing, was what was happening on the other side of that silence. I found out slowly, in pieces. A comment here, a coldness there. The way my oldest looked at me at Thanksgiving, like she was waiting for me to do something terrible. My younger one stopped saying I love you when we hung up the phone. Just stopped. And one afternoon she called me, actually called me, and said things I still can't fully repeat. Words that didn't sound like her. Words that sounded rehearsed. Like someone had handed her a script, and she was reading it out loud, trying to make herself believe it. She said I had abandoned the family. Said I was selfish. Said I had never really been there. I sat on my kitchen floor after that call. Not a chair. The floor. Because my legs just didn't work anymore. I kept thinking, 21 years. I gave 21 years of packed lunches and late night talks and showing up. Always showing up. I was the one who held hair back during stomach bugs. I was the one who drove 40 minutes to sit in the back of a school play that lasted 3 hours and featured 35 second graders and one very confused rabbit puppet. I was there. I was always there. And somehow I had become the villain in a story I didn't write. The months that followed were the loneliest of my life. And I mean lonely in a way that goes bone deep. The kind of lonely that has nothing to do with whether there are people around you. I had friends. I had a sister who called every Sunday. But there is a specific grief that comes from being estranged from your own children that nothing else touches. Nothing. You don't stop being their mother just because they've stopped calling. You still wake up on their birthdays. You still see something funny and think, she would love this. You still reach for your phone. I reached for mine a lot those first months. And then I'd put it back down. Because I'd already left the voicemails. I'd already sent the cards. I'd already written the letter. 3 pages, handwritten, that I wasn't sure ever got read. There is a particular kind of heartbreak in loving someone who has been taught not to love you back. In being the mother and having no way to reach your own child through the wall someone else built between you. But here's what I know about walls. You can't knock them down from the outside. You have to make the person on the other side want to open the door. So I stopped trying to defend myself. Stopped sending the long explanations. Stopped trying to dismantle every lie with a counter-argument. Because that's not how hearts work. Instead, I just showed up. Quietly. Consistently. A birthday text every year even when I got nothing back. A card at Christmas. A simple I love you with no strings attached. No guilt. No pressure. Just proof. Over and over, that I was still here, that I hadn't gone anywhere, that whatever they'd been told, their mother was still standing. And I worked on myself in the meantime, because if I'm being honest, really honest, the anger could have swallowed me whole if I'd let it. There were nights I wanted to burn the whole story down, wanted everyone to know exactly what had been done to me. But I kept coming back to this one truth. I cannot control what they were told. I can only control who I am when they're finally ready to see it. 3 years. That's how long it took. My youngest called on a Tuesday in October, just to talk. No big speech, no dramatic reconciliation scene. She just called. And somewhere in that conversation, she said, "Mom, I think I had some things wrong." And I said, "Honey, it doesn't matter. We're here now." My oldest came around 6 months after that. Different path, same destination. They call me every single day now, every day. And I want you to hear this. Wherever you are in your own quiet heartbreak, love that is real and steady and true does not expire. It just waits. You keep showing up. You keep being exactly who you are. And you trust that the truth, given enough time, has a way of finding the people you raised to eventually recognize it. They know their mother now, and their mother never left.